The rain came down in thin silver lines that morning, soft but steady, like the sky itself was grieving. Elena stood by the open grave, her black umbrella trembling in her hand. Everyone around her whispered condolences, friends, neighbors, even distant relatives, but none of it felt real. Her son, Daniel, was gone, just 23 years old, full of laughter and plans. And now, silence. But as Elena's eyes moved across the small crowd, something in her chest tightened. Not everyone looked sad. Her husband Richard stood just a few steps away, his face blank, hands folded neatly in front of him. No tears, no emotion, not even a glance in her direction. And then there was her, Alicia, the woman who had been helping at Richard's office, the one who was now standing a little too close, holding an umbrella over him as if she belonged there. Elena's stomach turned. She wanted to scream, to run, to demand answers, but all she could do was stand still, soaked in grief and disbelief. After the service, people left in quiet waves until only the three of them remained, Elena, Richard, and Alicia. Richard turned to her finally, his voice low. "You should go home, Elena. There's no point staying here." She stared at him. "He was our son," she whispered. "Our son, Richard." He sighed, checking his watch. "We've all lost something. Don't make this harder than it already is." That was it. No comfort, no pain, just a man eager to move on. Elena walked away, her heels sinking into the muddy grass. She didn't look back. She couldn't. But what she didn't know was that behind her, Richard and Alicia shared a quiet glance, a glance that would haunt her later. That night, the house felt emptier than ever. Daniel's room still smelled like his cologne. His jacket hung on the back of the chair. She sat on his bed, holding one of his old notebooks, tears finally spilling down her face. And then her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Mrs. Collins?" a man's voice said. "I need to speak with you about your son's accident. Please don't tell anyone I called." Her breath caught. "Who is this?" "I can't say yet," he replied quickly, voice trembling. "But Daniel didn't die the way they told you. You deserve to know the truth." The call ended before she could respond. Elena sat frozen, her hand shaking. The truth? What truth? She stared at the rain sliding down the window and whispered to herself, "Oh God, Daniel, what really happened to you?" Who was the man on the phone, and what secret about her son's death was Elena about to uncover? The next morning, Elena woke with a start. She had barely slept, haunted by that voice on the phone. "Daniel didn't die the way they told you." Those words echoed in her head like a storm that wouldn't quiet down. She replayed the accident in her mind. Richard had told her it was instant, a car crash on the outskirts of town. The police had said he'd fallen asleep at the wheel, but something about it had never made sense. Daniel wasn't reckless. He didn't even like driving at night. By afternoon, she couldn't take it anymore. She called the unknown number back. The phone rang twice before a man answered. "Mrs. Collins?" "Yes. Who are you?" she demanded. There was a pause. "My name's Aaron. I worked with your son before he died." Her heart skipped. "Worked with him? Daniel was still in college." Another pause, then a nervous exhale. "That's what you were told. But Daniel had been helping me investigate something dangerous at your husband's company." Elena froze. "What are you talking about?" Aaron's voice dropped lower. "Listen carefully. Daniel discovered things he wasn't supposed to see, numbers that didn't add up, transactions sent offshore, and people disappearing. He told me he was scared." Elena's throat went dry. "Scared of what?" "Of your husband, Mrs. Collins." Her stomach dropped. "No, no, you're wrong." "I wish I was," Aaron said quietly. "Daniel told me if anything happened to him, I should find you. But you need to be careful. They're watching you." Before she could ask another question, the line went dead. Elena sat there in silence, her pulse racing. Watching her? Who? Why? She turned and glanced at the window. For a split second, she swore she saw movement. A dark figure across the street, standing too still, watching her house. Her hands began to shake. She pulled the curtain shut and pressed her back to the wall. None of it made sense. Richard had been distant for years, yes, but to think he was involved in something that could have hurt their own son? Impossible. Still, there had been that look at the funeral, that strange calm in his eyes. When he came home that evening, Elena forced a smile and greeted him at the door. "You're home early." He kissed her cheek, his usual routine perfect gesture. "Yeah, thought I'd check in on you." She studied him closely, the faint scent of Alicia's perfume clinging to his jacket, the way he avoided her eyes. Her heart pounded. If what Aaron said was true, then she was living with the man who might have been behind her son's death. That night, she barely moved. She waited until Richard fell asleep, then crept downstairs, heart hammering. She went through his office drawers, searching for anything that might prove Aaron's words, and then she found it. A locked metal box tucked behind folders and ledgers. The same initials were carved on top. D.C. Daniel Collins. Elena's breath hitched. Oh my God. What was hidden inside the box with her son's initials, and why was her husband trying so hard to keep it secret? Elena's fingers trembled as she pulled the metal box out from the back of the drawer. It was heavier than it looked, cold, solid, deliberate. Her son's initials, D.C., were etched deep into the lid, as if someone wanted to make sure no one ever forgot whose it was. She set it down carefully on the desk, her heartbeat echoing in the stillness of the house. Upstairs, Richard slept soundly, unaware that the truth he'd buried was slowly crawling its way to the surface. But the box wouldn't open. She searched through the drawers for a key, but found nothing. Not in his briefcase, not behind the books, not even in the little safe he kept in the corner. Finally, she grabbed a small screwdriver and forced it open. The metal creaked, then gave way with a sharp snap. Inside were files, papers folded neatly, each stamped with the logo of Richard's company, Collin-Tech Industries. But these weren't business reports, they were darker. Her eyes scanned the pages. Offshore accounts, hidden transactions, contracts signed under fake names. And then, near the bottom of the stack, she found something that made her blood run cold. A printed email thread between Richard and another name she didn't recognize. Subject, Project Greyline, urgent. The most recent message read, "He knows, he found the copies, handle it before it gets out." The date was from 3 days before Daniel's death. Elena dropped the paper, her hand shaking violently. Oh God, Daniel! Her son had found out something he shouldn't have, and someone had made sure he'd never speak about it. She didn't hear the floorboard creak behind her until it was too late. "Elena!" Richard's voice cut through the dark like a knife. "What are you doing in my office?" Her heart stopped. She turned slowly, clutching the papers behind her back. I couldn't sleep. I just came to get water." His eyes flicked to the box on the desk, the open lid, the screwdriver. His expression changed, calm at first, then colder than she'd ever seen it. "Why is that box open?" Her mouth went dry. "Box? I don't know. It was already—" He took a slow step toward her. That box was locked. She backed away until she hit the wall. "Richard, what's going on? What is all this?" He exhaled heavily, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You've been through a lot, Elena. You're confused. Go back to bed." "I'm not confused," she snapped. "Tell me the truth. What happened to Daniel?" His eyes hardened. "Drop it, Elena." For a moment they just stood there, two strangers under the same roof, surrounded by the shadows of lies. Then Richard slowly reached for the papers in her hand. She didn't move. Neither did he. For a heartbeat, it felt like the whole house was holding its breath. And then the front door bell rang. They both froze. At 2:17 a.m., someone was standing outside their house. Richard's jaw tightened. "Stay here," he muttered, walking toward the door. But as he disappeared down the hall, Elena noticed something. Through the side window, a figure stood in the rain, motionless. It was Aaron. Why had Aaron come to her house in the middle of the night, and what truth was he about to risk everything to reveal? The rain hadn't stopped since the funeral. It beat against the windows like it wanted to come inside, drumming over the house while Elena stood frozen in the hallway staring at the dark figure outside. It was Aaron, standing in the downpour, drenched, his eyes darting toward the front door as if someone might be watching him. Richard was already halfway there. "Who the hell shows up at this hour?" he muttered, straightening his tie, pretending nothing was wrong. But there was something in his voice, something uneasy. Elena's pulse thundered. If Aaron told him anything, no, she couldn't let that happen. Before Richard could reach the door, she grabbed his arm. "Don't. Let me handle it," she said quickly, her tone almost pleading. He frowned. "Why?" "Because whoever it is came for me." There was a beat of silence. His eyes studied hers, sharp and suspicious. But finally he stepped back. "Fine, just be careful." Elena opened the door. A gust of cold rain slapped her face, soaking her hair. "Aaron," she whispered harshly, "what are you doing here?" He looked terrified. "You have to listen to me. They know you opened the box. You're not safe here." Her heart dropped. "What are you talking about? Who knows?" Before he could answer, a shadow moved behind him, fast, silent, deliberate. Elena's breath caught. "Aaron!" But the figure was gone as quickly as it appeared, swallowed by the rain. Aaron turned, scanning the street, his voice trembling. "They're watching me, Elena. Your husband isn't who you think he is." Inside, Richard's voice echoed down the hall. "Elena? Who's out there?" Aaron's expression hardened. "You can't trust him. You can't let him know you talked to me. If he suspects, you're finished." She grabbed his arm. "Then tell me what's going on." He glanced over his shoulder, his jaw tight. "Daniel found out the truth. Colin Tech isn't just a company. It's a cover. Offshore accounts, yes, but also illegal shipments. Your husband was moving things he shouldn't have. Dangerous things." Elena's stomach twisted. "You mean money?" Aaron hesitated. "Not money. Information. Identities. People." For a moment the world seemed to tilt. "People? What are you saying?" "He was selling access, Elena. And when Daniel found proof, a loud crash cut through the night. Glass shattered somewhere behind her. Aaron flinched. "They're here!" Elena spun around, her pulse racing. The hallway light flickered. Richard's voice thundered. "Elena, what's going on out there?" But before she could answer, Aaron pushed something into her hand. A flash drive, cold and wet. "Everything's on there," he hissed. "Keep it hidden. Don't trust anyone." Then he turned and ran into the darkness before she could stop him. She stood there trembling, the rain soaking through her dress, clutching the small drive in her fist. Behind her, Richard appeared at the doorway. "Who was that?" "Nobody," as she said too quickly. He studied her, his gaze lingering on the open door, the shattered glass, her trembling hands. Then he smiled, slow and sharp. "You should really lock the doors, Elena. You never know who might come knocking." Her throat went dry. Was that a warning or a threat? As he turned away, she looked down at the flash drive. The label was smeared from the rain, but she could still make out 3 words, handwritten by someone she loved.
"If I don't make it. Daniel." Her knees nearly buckled. "Oh God," she whispered. What had Daniel discovered before he died? And what secret inside that drive was dangerous enough to kill for? The rain hadn't stopped by morning. The house smelled of coffee and fear. Elena sat at the kitchen table, staring at the small silver flash drive Aaron had given her the night before. It lay there like a heartbeat, silent but alive, holding something that could ruin everything. She hadn't slept. Every sound had made her flinch, the wind, the pipes, the floorboards groaning under Richard's footsteps upstairs. Now in the gray light of dawn she whispered, "What did you find, Daniel?" Her son's handwriting stared back at her. "If I don't make it." Her hands shook as she plugged the drive into her old laptop. The screen flickered, loading files one by one, folders labeled with names she didn't recognize. At first glance, they looked like company documents, but the deeper she went, the darker it became. Hidden inside the last folder was a single video file. Play me first. She hesitated. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Then she clicked. The screen filled with Daniel's face. Tired, anxious eyes darting around like someone afraid to be seen. Mom, he whispered into the camera. If you're watching this, it means I couldn't stop him. Elena's breath caught. Oh God. Daniel's voice shook. Dad's company isn't just about tech or finance. He's been using it to move data, personal files, secret deals, even identities. He's selling access to people's lives, Mom. He's part of something much bigger. And I think someone found out, I know. He looked behind him, then leaned closer to the camera. You have to be careful. Don't tell anyone you have this. Not even him. Especially not him. The video glitched, the image flickering. Daniel's final words were broken. Fragments swallowed by static. Mom, trust. Aaron, they'll stop. Then it went black. Elena sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. Her son had died terrified, hunted, and she'd never known. She closed the laptop and pressed her forehead against her hands. Oh, Daniel. Then footsteps. Slow. Measured. Coming down the stairs. She snapped the laptop shut just as Richard appeared in the doorway. You're up early, he said, his voice smooth, too calm. I couldn't sleep, she murmured, forcing a smile. His eyes drifted to the laptop. Still looking through Daniel's things? Yes. I just miss him. He nodded but didn't move. His gaze lingered, just long enough to make her heart skip. Then he smiled faintly. You always were sentimental. She waited until he left the room before exhaling the breath she'd been holding. Her chest ached from the tension. She needed to get out. She needed to see Aaron again. But as she packed the drive into her coat pocket, she noticed something outside the window. A black car parked across the street. Same one as last night. Engine off. No movement. Watching. Waiting. Elena's hands trembled. She stepped back from the window. Maybe Aaron was right. Maybe they were being watched. She turned off the laptop, grabbed her bag and slipped out the back door, heart pounding. The flash drive felt heavier than ever. Like a piece of her son's soul she wasn't supposed to hold. As she walked toward the street, she whispered, I'll finish what you started, Daniel. I promise. But behind her, in the shadow of the trees, a man lowered a phone from his ear and spoke quietly. She has it. Who was watching Elena? And how far would they go to keep Daniel's secret buried forever? Elena walked quickly, keeping her head down as the wind whipped through the empty street. The morning air smelled like rain and gasoline, sharp, heavy and cold. She could still feel it, the weight of that black car's stare behind her window. Every step she took felt like someone was matching her rhythm. She tried to shake the thought. Maybe it was paranoia. Maybe it was just grief twisting everything into something darker. But when she turned the corner, she saw it. The same black car. Parked across from the grocery store. Engine running this time. Her heart jumped into her throat. She ducked into a nearby cafe, slipping into a corner booth by the window. Her hands trembled as she reached for her phone. She typed quickly, Aaron, it's me. We need to meet. It's not safe. No response. She tried again. Please, they're following me. Where are you? Still nothing. The cafe's doorbell jingled softly as someone walked in. A tall man in a dark coat. He ordered coffee, but his eyes never left her table. Elena turned away, pretending to look out the window, her pulse hammering. Outside, the car engine idled quietly. She pulled the flash drive from her pocket and stared at it. It looked so harmless, yet it was the reason her son was dead. Her life was crumbling, and now someone wanted her silence too. Excuse me, a voice said suddenly. She looked up. It was the man in the coat. Mrs. Collins? Her breath caught. Do I know you? He smiled faintly, too polite. Not yet. But I was asked to find you. Her stomach flipped. By who? Someone who's very concerned about your safety. She stood up, backing away. You stay away from me. Elena, he started, but she didn't wait. She bolted out the back door, pushing through the rain and noise of the street. Her shoes slapped the pavement as she ran down the alley, lungs burning. The sound of footsteps chasing after her. Stop, he shouted. She turned another corner and nearly collided with someone else. Aaron. He grabbed her arms, pulling her into the shadows. Elena. Quiet. Her chest heaved. They're following me. Who are they? He glanced over her shoulder, eyes darting. They're not police. They're hired by your husband's partners. They think you have the files, and they'll do whatever it takes to get them. Elena felt the world spin. Then what do we do? Aaron hesitated. We can't stay here. I know somewhere safe, but we have to move now. The footsteps grew louder. The man in the coat was getting closer. Aaron grabbed her hand and pulled her into the rain-soaked maze of side streets. They darted past dumpsters, puddles, flashing neon lights. Behind them, a car door slammed. Tires screeched. Elena looked back just long enough to see two men getting out, one of them holding something metallic. Her breath caught. Oh God. Aaron tightened his grip. Don't look back. Just run. They reached the end of the alley, turning sharply toward the old train station. Her legs burned, her heart ached, but fear kept her moving. When they finally stopped, hidden behind a rusted bench, she pressed her hand to her chest, trying to breathe. Why are they doing this, Aaron? She whispered. Why kill my son? Why come after me? Aaron looked at her, soaked, exhausted, terrified, and his voice cracked when he spoke. Because Daniel stole something from them before he died. Something bigger than money. Her voice shook. What did he steal? Aaron hesitated, looking down at her coat pocket. What's on that flash drive isn't just proof. It's a list. Names. Dates. And one of them. He swallowed hard. One of them works inside your house. Elena's eyes widened. What do you mean? Before he could answer, a phone buzzed in his pocket. He looked at the screen, and his face drained of color. It's him, he whispered. Who? Your husband. Why was Richard calling Aaron? And what connection did the two men share that would turn Elena's entire world upside down? The old train station was nearly silent. Only the sound of dripping rainwater echoed through the cracked tiles and empty tracks. Elena sat beside Aaron on a broken bench, both breathing hard, heart still racing from the chase. The air smelled of rust and wet concrete. Aaron's phone kept buzzing in his pocket. He stared at the screen, frozen. Richard. Elena's stomach tightened. Why is my husband calling you? He didn't answer. Aaron, she repeated, her voice trembling now. Why is my husband calling you? He exhaled slowly, rubbing his face. Because I used to work for him. Her heart dropped. You what? I didn't know what he was into back then, Aaron said quickly. I thought it was just security work, investigating leaks, tracking down stolen data. But it was more than that. He was using me to cover things up. When I realized what he was doing, I tried to leave. That's when Daniel found me. Elena's head spun. You're telling me my son found you after you helped his father hide crimes? Aaron nodded, shame flickering across his face. He came to me because he didn't trust Richard anymore. He thought if he showed me the evidence, I'd help him expose it. And did you? I tried, Aaron said, voice cracking. But someone found out. They were watching us. The night before he died, Daniel told me he had hidden the drive, that he'd left it where you'd eventually find it. Elena's eyes filled with tears. So you knew all along. You knew my son was in danger. I tried to warn him. Aaron's voice echoed through the empty station. But by the time I got there, it was too late. The silence that followed was deafening. Rain dripped through the broken roof, hitting the ground like a slow heartbeat. Finally, Elena whispered, "And now my husband's looking for you." Aaron nodded grimly. He's not the only one. There are people behind him, Elena, powerful people. Richard's just one piece of it. But he's the one who ordered Daniel followed. Her breath hitched. Followed? Not killed. Aaron hesitated. That part. I don't know. I don't think it was supposed to go that far. But accidents have a way of happening when secrets get too close to light. Elena felt her chest tighten until it hurt. You think my husband killed our son? Aaron didn't answer. He didn't have to. The phone buzzed again. This time Aaron hit answer. Before Elena could stop him, Richard's voice filled the quiet air. Aaron, he said coolly. I hope you're not doing something stupid. Aaron's hand shook. It's over, Richard. She knows. A pause. Then Richard's voice lowered to a chilling calm. No, she doesn't. Not yet. Elena's blood ran cold. Put it on speaker, she whispered. Aaron did. Richard's voice came through steady and measured, like a man discussing business instead of betrayal. Elena, if you're listening, he said, I need you to stop running. Come home. This doesn't have to end badly. Her hands clenched. You killed our son, she shouted. You lied to me, Richard. He sighed. You always were too emotional. Daniel made choices, Elena. Dangerous ones. He didn't understand who he was dealing with. What are you talking about? She cried. But Richard ignored her, his tone shifting toward Aaron. You've caused enough damage, Aaron. You know what happens to people who cross them. You think you can protect her. Aaron's eyes darted to Elena's. You won't touch her, Richard. Oh, I won't have to, Richard said smoothly. She'll come back on her own. Because the next time you run, Elena, you won't be running from me. You'll be running from the people who killed Daniel. The line went dead. For a moment, all Elena could hear was her own heartbeat. She turned to Aaron. What does he mean? Who killed my son? Aaron stared at the ground. It's worse than I thought, he whispered. Richard isn't the one in control anymore. She grabbed his arm. Then who is? He looked up slowly, his eyes dark and hollow. Someone Daniel met before he died. Someone inside Colintech. The one he called the broker. Elena froze. The broker. Aaron nodded. And whoever they are, they've just found us. Who is the broker? And what terrifying truth about Daniel's death is hiding behind that name? The rain had stopped by the time dawn broke, but the world still felt gray, colorless, drained, like even the sky was holding its breath. Elena sat inside an abandoned cafe near the edge of town, her fingers wrapped around a cup of coffee gone cold hours ago. Aaron paced beside her, restless, his eyes scanning every shadow. The broker, she repeated quietly. Daniel mentioned that name? Aaron nodded. Once. Right before he died. He said the broker wasn't just part of Colintech. He was the one controlling it from behind the curtain. Richard worked for him, not the other way around. Elena frowned. Controlling? Controlling what, Aaron? Aaron hesitated. Information. Power. Every secret Richard's company collected. Government data, financial accounts, private identities. It all went through the broker. And Daniel found out how to trace it back to him. Her stomach twisted. So Daniel uncovered the person running everything. And that's why he died. Aaron nodded slowly. And now whoever that man is, he knows you have what Daniel left behind. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Elena said softly, I want to find him. Aaron's head snapped up. What? I want to find the broker, she repeated. If I don't end this, I'll never be free of it. Daniel won't rest. None of us will. Aaron ran a hand through his hair. Elena, that's suicide. You don't go looking for people like him. I'm already being hunted, she said. What else can they take from me? He stared at her for a moment, and in his eyes she saw something shift, fear turning into reluctant admiration. Finally he sighed. There's one person who might know how to find him. Who? Alicia. The name hit Elena like a slap. Alicia? Richard's assistant. Aaron nodded grimly. She's not just his assistant. She used to handle the broker's transfers, move the data, clean the accounts. She disappeared 6 months ago after Daniel confronted her. If she's still alive, she knows everything. Elena's pulse quickened. Where is she? Last I heard, she was hiding in a safe house near the old docks. Elena grabbed her coat. Then that's where we're going. Aaron's hand shot out, stopping her. Elena, wait. We can't just walk in there. If she's still working with them, then I'll find out, she said sharply. I've been lied to enough, Aaron. I need the truth. He stared at her, wet hair clinging to her face, eyes burning with quiet rage. For the first time he realized she wasn't a grieving widow anymore. She was something else now. Determined. Dangerous. He finally nodded. All right. But we move at night. The less they see, the better. They left the cafe just as a delivery truck rumbled past. The driver glanced at them through the windshield, his face unreadable, until he picked up his phone and spoke softly. They're heading east, he said. Tell the broker. Hours later, as the sun sank behind the docks, Elena and Aaron stood before an abandoned warehouse, its walls cracked and its windows boarded. The sound of waves crashed against the shore, echoing through the empty air. "This is it," Aaron whispered. Elena gripped the flash drive in her pocket. "If Alicia's in there, she's going to tell me the truth." They stepped inside, the air heavy with dust and salt. The room was dark, except for a single light flickering at the far end, illuminating a woman sitting at a table, her back to them. Elena froze. "Alicia!" The woman didn't move. Aaron took a cautious step forward. "It's me, Aaron. We need to talk." The woman slowly turned, and when her face caught the light, Elena's blood went cold. It was Alicia, yes. But her expression was empty, her skin pale, her eyes hollow. And there, taped to her wrist, was a phone playing a recorded voice message. Richard's voice. "If she comes to you, Alicia, tell her nothing. The broker's already waiting." Elena's breath caught. Oh God. Before she could move, a shadow flickered behind them. The warehouse door slammed shut. Aaron turned just in time to see a red laser dot slide across his chest. Who had found them at the docks? And was the broker finally about to reveal himself? The air inside the warehouse turned cold, unnaturally cold. Elena could hear nothing but the slow hum of the overhead light and the sound of her own heart thudding in her chest. Aaron stood frozen, eyes darting toward the red laser now fixed right between his ribs. "Don't move," a deep voice ordered from the shadows. Elena's breath trembled. "Who's there?" Boots echoed on the concrete. From the darkness emerged two men, both dressed in black, faces hidden under hoods. One held a gun. The other, a small earpiece that glowed faint blue in the dim light. "Hands where I can see them," the man with the gun barked. Aaron raised his hand slowly. "We're not here to cause trouble," he said carefully. The man smirked. "You already did." Elena's gaze darted toward Alicia. The woman hadn't moved, hadn't blinked. Something was wrong. Then she saw it. A faint red mark on Alicia's neck. A small puncture. "Oh God," she whispered. "Aaron, she's dead." Before Aaron could react, the man holding the earpiece turned toward them. "She was a liability," he said calmly. "The broker doesn't keep liabilities." Elena's stomach twisted. "Who is the broker?" The man smiled faintly. "You'll meet him soon." A phone buzzed in his pocket. He answered without looking away from them. "Yes, sir. They're here." He listened for a moment, nodded once, then said something that made Elena's blood run cold. "Bring her." "Leave him." The man with the gun grabbed Elena's arm, yanking her forward. Aaron lunged to stop him but was thrown to the ground. "Don't touch her," Aaron shouted. Elena screamed, trying to pull free, but the man's grip tightened like iron. "Let her go." The one with the earpiece turned to Aaron, voice cold. "The broker wants her alive. You, on the other hand, were supposed to disappear months ago." Aaron struggled to his feet. "You'll have to shoot me first." The man tilted his head. "That's the idea." The gun lifted. The trigger clicked. Bang! The sound shattered through the air, echoing, deafening. Elena flinched, her scream swallowed by the thunder of the shot. Aaron dropped to his knees, clutching his shoulder. "Run!" "Elena!" he gasped. But she couldn't. She was frozen, staring as his blood spread across the floor, the color of truth and tragedy. The men dragged her toward the far door. One of them pressed a small black device to her temple, a scanner. It beeped. "Confirmed," the earpiece man said. "Richard's wife." Her heart sank. What do you mean, confirmed?" The man leaned close enough for her to see the faint scar along his jaw. "You really don't know, do you?" he whispered. "The broker isn't who you think he is." Elena's voice cracked. "Then who is he?" The man smiled. "The one person Daniel trusted more than anyone." She stared at him, eyes wide. "No. Your son didn't die because of what he found," the man continued, voice almost gentle. "He died because of who he told." Her breath hitched. "You're lying." "Am I?" he said. "You'll see soon enough. The broker wants to meet you personally." He turned to his partner. "Take her." As they dragged her out toward the waiting car, Elena's eyes fell on Aaron, barely conscious, reaching weakly toward her. She mouthed the words, "I'll come back." He nodded faintly. "Find the truth," he whispered. The warehouse door slammed shut behind her. Outside, the rain had started again, falling harder this time, like the sky itself was trying to wash away what was about to happen. The black car door opened. One of the men shoved her inside. The engine roared to life. Through the tinted window she caught one last glimpse of the warehouse, Aaron's body fading into darkness. Then a voice came through the car's speakers, calm, steady, familiar. "Elena," it said. Her blood froze. "Welcome home." It was Richard's voice. Was Richard really the broker? Or was he just another pawn in a game far more dangerous than she could imagine? The car drove in silence, slicing through the dark. Raindrops streaked across the windows like tears sliding down glass. Elena's wrists were bound, her heart pounding louder than the engine. Every mile felt heavier, every turn more deliberate. She tried to memorize the road, the signs, anything that could tell her where they were going. But the windows were tinted black, swallowing the outside world whole. Finally, the car slowed. The gates opened, tall, iron automatic, and she caught the faint glow of floodlights beyond. A familiar estate. Her estate. They were back home. Her voice trembled. "Why here? Why bring me back?" The man in the front seat said nothing. The car stopped. The doors unlocked. "Out," one of them ordered. Elena stepped into the cold night air. The house loomed ahead, every light on, like it had been expecting her. She walked up the steps, the rain dripping from her hair, fear mixing with anger. And there in the doorway waiting was Richard. He looked immaculate, calm, and maddeningly casual, like nothing was wrong at all. "Welcome home, darling," he said softly. Her voice broke. "Why, Richard? Why any of this? Daniel is gone, because of you." He tilted his head. "Because of me? Or because of what he did?" Elena stepped closer. "He was your son." He smiled faintly. "He was curious. Curiosity can be fatal." Her hands trembled. "You're the broker." Richard chuckled quietly. "No, Elena. I'm not the broker." Her confusion flickered across her face. "Then who?" The door behind him opened. Footsteps echoed through the marble hall. And out stepped a woman. "Alicia. Alive." Elena's breath hitched. "No, that's not possible. You were dead." Alicia smiled, calm and graceful, her eyes colder than before. "Did you really think I'd die in some warehouse?" Elena's voice wavered. "Then you're the broker?" Alicia tilted her head. "I prefer the one who finishes what others start." Richard took a slow step toward Elena. "It was never supposed to reach you." Daniel stumbled into things he didn't understand. "But now," he looked at Alicia, "we can fix it." Alicia nodded. "She has the drive." Elena's eyes widened. "You want it? After all this?" Alicia's voice softened, almost kind. "You've been living in the middle of a storm, Elena. Wouldn't you rather let it end?" Elena backed away, her mind spinning. "You killed my son." Alicia's expression didn't change. "We didn't kill him, dear. We protected something bigger than him. Bigger than you. The world isn't ready for what's on that drive." Elena shook her head. "You're lying." "Am I?" Alicia whispered, stepping closer. "Or did Daniel lie to you?" Elena froze. "What are you saying?" Alicia smiled. "You think your son was innocent. But what if I told you? He worked for us first." The world tilted. Elena's voice cracked. "No, Daniel would never." "He would," Alicia said simply. "He was brilliant, ambitious, and just like you. Couldn't resist finding the truth. Until the truth became too dangerous to keep." Elena's knees felt weak. The room spun. "You're lying," she whispered again, almost pleading. Richard stepped closer. "There's more you don't know, Elena. Much more." "Stop," she said, shaking her head. "Stop." But Alicia only smiled. "He left you the drive for a reason. Not to expose us, but to finish what he started." Elena's breath trembled. "What are you talking about?" Alicia leaned forward, whispering near her ear. "You've been searching for the villain, Elena. But the truth? The truth is much closer than you think." Before Elena could react, the lights flickered. The sound of engines roared outside. Alicia's smile faded. She turned toward Richard. "They found us." "Who?" Richard demanded. "The people Daniel worked for," she said quietly. "The ones who wanted the drive back." Outside, headlights flashed through the rain. Black vans. Dozens of them. Richard's calm facade finally cracked. We have to move. Elena's pulse thundered. Alicia turned back to her, eyes sharp. You still have the drive, don't you? Elena's hand went to her coat pocket. It was still there. Run, Alicia whispered. If they find it, none of us will survive. Elena hesitated only a moment before bolting toward the back door. Rain crashed against her face as she sprinted into the darkness, the world exploding with sirens and shouts behind her. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to keep running. She clutched the flash drive to her chest and whispered through the storm, Daniel, what did you get me into? Behind her, a single gunshot echoed through the night. Then silence. She stopped, turned slowly, and through the haze of rain and flashing lights, she saw a figure step out of the house. Not Richard. Not Alicia. Someone else. And he was holding a gun. Mom, the voice said. Her heart froze. Let's finish what we started. Was Daniel really dead? Or had the truth all along been far, far darker than anyone imagined?